You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of Red-Eye Responds. I'm going to be recording this one, and then very likely just uploading it without editing it. I saw this video earlier today, and there's a lot of points I agreed with, but there's a few that I disagreed with, and I think it would just be fun to kind of give my own reasoning and rationale behind it. And also point out some of the parts I disagree with. It's a pretty good video. It's by Congrats Bro, and it's called Pam Beesly is the Worst Character on Television, which obviously is a hyperbolic and inflammatory title. I don't even think she's the worst character in The Office, but I do agree with the general sentiment of the video. But there are a couple points he's kind of reaching. It's going to be a longer one, which is why I'm probably not going to edit it because I'm a lazy fuck. And I decided not to do it as a live response, just so that, you know, for people who just watch the videos and not the streams, they can see this as a video. So there you go. Anyway, let's get rid of that real quick. And let's start this.
Hang up. Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. Intel has told
Obviously, this is an iconic meme, that they're the same picture thing.
us there were at least 7.
Which, by the way, Creed being manager, fucking great episode. Great fucking joke.
Okay, I already see one. Give him. Okay.
They're the same picture.
I like this intro to this video, by the way. I love the fucking, that meme, and then the fucking Pam Beesly is the worst character on television, fucking Always Sunny intro.
Okay, so I know I'm gonna irritate some people with this video, but just bear with me because I'm gonna go through.
There are some people in the comments that I think are far too harsh on him and are kind of like missing the point, but you know.
Point by point and prove to you that you don't really like the character Pam Beesly Halpert.
I never really did. I always thought of her more as a plot device for Jim's arc.
And this is in no way attacking the actress that plays her, Jenna Fisher, who does a really, really good job playing this character. And frankly, I think Pam was written to be the way that she is. I think she was meant to be unlikable and, quite frankly, a psycho.
I don't know if she's meant to be unlikable, like with the way she was written in the show. Skylar White, for instance, was absolutely. But I don't know that that was necessarily the intent for Pam, because the show definitely wants you to think of Pam as like likable and like cute and quirky with her relationship with Jim. Like The Office, there's another video I saw forever ago talking about The Office, talking about the concept of the sympathetic adulterer that they try to do with, you know, Pam, to a lesser extent with Angela, because they definitely want you to have your issues with Angela. But also, you know, like it's a theme they kind of do a lot in The Office, where someone's in a relationship, but they love someone else, or someone else loves them, that kind of thing.
History with the show. I've been watching it since the premiere of the first episode, like a million years ago. And the more times I've seen this show, the more firmly and adamantly I stand by this opinion that Pam Beesly is, quite frankly, possibly the worst character on television.
Again, I don't go that far, but she definitely is a bitch.
I've heard a lot of opinions about Pam, and I've heard from a lot of people that also are not a fan of her, and there's this idea going around that she wasn't always bad. She was better in the first season, and I believe this a little, but I truly think that she's always been a terrible person. So hopefully,
I think she's most insufferable in like the last season.
At the end of this video, I'll be able to prove to you that Pam Beesly Halpert is possibly the worst character on television.
Pam, on the other hand, is
By the way, the clips that he uses, fucking phenomenal editing. I think it's pretty funny with some of the clips he puts in here.
unwelcome, entitled, and unfriendly presence in our company.
To be honest, every day I imagine how happy I'd be if Pam died.
The Office is a very funny show.
I would say that she is misunderstood. And then maybe there's some stuff in her past that you guys don't know about. It's a little messed up and probably...
Ironically, if you know anything about this episode, they're actually talking about Nellie here and using Pam as a code word. Nellie, I think, is actually a far worse character than Pam. I fucking hate Nellie. Easily my least favorite character. She has some funny moments. Nellie does have some funny moments. I'm not going to pretend she doesn't. But she's probably my least favorite Office character.
makes her such a torture to work with.
We hate Pam! We hate Pam.
So,
We hate Pam.
we've established that you guys hate Pam.
I do love this scene, though, where Dwight and Jim bully this magician.
Do you ever wish she would just disappear?
All right, now I'll admit right off the bat that there are other characters on the show that are guilty of certain things. I mean,
And in fairness, this guy does kind of gloss over some stuff where characters are actually worse than Pam in some ways that he's talking about. So, in fairness, there is a bit of that in this video that I do think he does kind of gloss over it with other characters, but that's bound to happen because that is the case he's making. But also, again, there are some points I think he's reaching. But again, we'll get there in due time. Don't you worry, your pretty Mexican little head.
Jim Halpert is no saint himself.
Jim's kind of a piece of shit. His pranks on Dwight are like really, really ridiculous and like over the top and like cross many, many lines. Like he made Dwight buy all his own possessions back from a fucking vending machine. Convinced him he committed murder on more than one occasion too. It's pretty crazy. Like, I do like how wholesome the show is with how Jim and Dwight become like friends in the end. And like how Jim and Dwight actually do have kind of this frenemy kind of thing going a lot of the series. But Jim is a piece of shit to him, especially early on. But he's not really going to talk about that. He's mainly going to talk about the relationship stuff with Pam.
Known for doing some pretty crummy things. I mean, even in the first season, it was kind of weird that Jim would constantly flirt with Pam knowing that she's in a relationship with Roy. He kind of goes out of his way and is a little pushy with everything. Now, the show does paint Roy as being a bit of a douche and try.
Roy did nothing wrong. Hashtag justice for Roy. I mean, granted, he does actually get a happy ending. So, he gets a better wife than Pam. So, good for him. But Roy literally did nothing wrong.
To use that to justify all of this, but I think the real crime of the first couple of seasons is the way that Pam constantly led Jim on and strung him along.
Yeah, she absolutely did. And, like, there's people in the comments who try to say that she wasn't leading him on and that she was just being friendly. But no, she, like, clearly knew how he felt and played into that and fed on that attention. This guy's absolutely right on that.
Just used him to escape her boring job.
I am indifferent to Jim's existence.
There's really not a whole lot to say for the very first season because it's only about 10 episodes.
6, but, whatever.
You can start to see the seeds being...
Actually, it might be 7. I think it's 6, though.
For what's going to come next. And you can already sort of get an idea of Pam's manipulative nature. Even though there's not really very many actual moments to break down in the first season, by the time you get a chance to analyze Pam's character later on, you'll be able to go back and look at that first season with fresh eyes and sort of see some of those things taking root. Right off the bat, first episode of season 2, Pam is just an absolute monster in this episode. I'm shocked at how easily unnoticed this was for me the first couple of times I saw this episode. The episode starts off with Pam defacing company property and vandalizing the women's bathroom by writing obscenities about her boss, Michael.
Now, this is curious. Obviously, this is a point he's bringing up, which fair enough. But he's totally fine. Like, he makes it clear he's not supporting it later. Again, it'll be later in the video. But there's that guy, Frank, who vandalizes Pam's mural, which he also gets some other stuff wrong about, but we'll get there when we get there. And he kind of brushes that off like it's nothing, but he makes such a big deal about her vandalizing the stall, which, granted, yeah, that's fucking stupid. But nevertheless, he does kind of gloss over it later.
Scott on the women's bathroom wall. Need I point out that although Michael Scott is a frustrating person to be around, he is in no way a bad person, and he treats Pam like royalty throughout the series.
Absolutely. Like, people in the comments on this video, I'm going to be bringing up the comments a lot, because this comment section has some people who totally missed the point he was making. But people in the comment section say, oh, no, he treated her bad. No, he didn't. Michael was fucking great. Like, Michael might be naive and insensitive unintentionally at times, and awkward. But like this guy says later, he fucking like worships Jim and Pam.
Her boss to the entire company while defacing company property. She lies to all of her coworkers about it. And then when Dwight tries to confront her and get to the bottom of who was behind it, she insults him to his face in front of everybody.
Okay, now I'm laughing at you.
But he is right. Like, all of these things together are like a point against her. Absolutely.
At this point, Dwight very stupidly tries to ban all of the women from the women's restroom.
Which is funny. Fucking love Dwight.
And what's Pam's response to this? She runs to Michael to complain, the guy that she just insulted. She caused this entire situation, and then she's going to run back to Michael to try to complain? That's insane.
It was also kind of weird that Dwight went into the women's bathroom to read what was written. So, you know, there is that too. Like, there's layers to this.
She gets faced at Chili's stealing other people's drinks off their tables, makes a fool of herself, and then kisses Jim in front of everybody. She gets hammered drunk publicly because she's depressed about her crappy relationship with Roy, and then she kisses someone who is not her boyfriend. At the end of the episode...
Yeah, see, this, you can't justify this. This guy's spot on with this.
There's absolutely zero remorse for what she did to the bathroom wall, what she said about Michael, or any of her behavior throughout the episode.
Whoa.
Class act. The other possibility for Pam's terrible treatment of Jim in the first couple seasons is that she's legitimately just playing off of his obvious affections to make herself less bored at her dead-end job.
Absolutely, that's what she's doing.
This being the case is all the more insulting to Jim and just quite frankly morbid of Pam, highlighting just how self-centered she really is.
Like, I will admit, like, the tone he has in this video is far more serious than I would be, because at the end of the day, it's a sitcom, but he's spot on with a lot of these points thus far.
And folks, we're not even getting to the good stuff yet. There's a moment in episode 6 that illustrates this pretty well, when Pam is totally okay roughhousing with Jim. That is until they're seen by somebody else, and then her entire demeanor shifts, and she treats Jim like...
He's right, like, look at that, the instant change in look on her face.
...a criminal. So she's okay keeping Jim her dirty little secret, but is always ready to throw him to the side the moment he becomes inconvenient. In the episode after Michael makes out with Jan in season 2, Pam is called into Michael's office for what's supposed to be her annual performance review, but she's instead questioned by a very confused and frustrated Michael about the nature of a call from Jan. Initially, Pam is very forthright with Michael, telling him that the phone call wasn't suggestive of any emotions towards him. But when Michael becomes visibly upset upon hearing this, Pam lies directly to his face, hoping to improve his mood and result in a good performance review.
See, well, to be fair, I think that's a little unfair to her here. Like, look, I love to shit on Pam. I love this video because of that, and I think it's, again, spot on a lot of things. But he literally was implying he was going to give her a negative performance review for her job because he was upset about Jan. What the fuck else did you expect her to do? Also, Stanley does this too. Lots of characters, like feed into his delusion about Jan here.
This lie may have been instrumental in furthering Michael's relationship with Jan.
I don't think that's fair at all. I don't think that's true at all. I don't think it had any effect on it. I think it was going to go that way either way, because Michael's a persistent fuck, and Jan really liked Michael for, like, you know, lustful reasons. She didn't really care about him as a person. In fact, Jan is a fucking horrible person. Jan's way worse of a person than Pam. It's just she's a lot more funny as a character. Like, the thing is, Jan's way more manipulative. You want to talk about the most manipulative bitch in the show, it's probably Jan. So, I think it's really unfair to try and peg this on Pam. So, I think that's a bit reaching.
The most destructive relationship of his entire life.
Dinner Party is the best episode, and this is not a hot take. I think everybody agrees.
That is a $200 plasma screen TV you just killed!
This one moment may have had a potentially catastrophic impact.
No, I don't think this moment was the impetus. And not to mention, again, he cherry-picked that he was talking to Pam when lots of people he had come in, because he just wanted people to validate and confirm what he believed. He didn't want, like, he wanted people to feed into that delusion that Jan was saying something with this call. Pam is not the only one he talked to about this. So again, this is reaching. This is absolutely reaching.
Packed upon Michael. And it was so that Pam could look out for number one. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming that entire terrible relationship on Pam. She may have had nothing to do with it. I'm just going through every possibility.
Again, I don't think this is fair to say this was anything to do with Pam. Michael was going to try and pursue Jan regardless.
Pam acts totally disgusted when she finds out that Dwight and Angela are dating. Now, I get it. Dwight is a weirdo and a creep, and Angela is Angela. But the two have a very emotional depth and actually have a pretty romantic...
Well, their relationship's pretty fucked up. Angela literally cheats on her fiancé with Dwight, and then they duel over her. So I think you're kind of glossing over that, too. And I don't really think it's a big deal that she's, like, disgusted by the relationship. Like, I do agree with his conclusion that she's like narcissistic and condescending about it, which we'll get to here in a second. But I think, again, it's making a mountain out of a molehill with this point as well, kind of.
Romantic story throughout the show.
Yeah, they have a romantic story, but they do have a love triangle that is pretty immoral. Like, let's be honest. Like, there's, you know, her cheating on Andy. There's her marrying that gay guy who then sleeps with Oscar. And, you know, Oscar's a fuckhead for that, too. Obviously. And see, that's what I mean, though. They do the sympathetic adulterer thing, right? Like again, I saw a whole video on this. I don't remember who it was by. It was a while back. But, like, they tried to paint it as, like, okay, because he's gay, though, so it's okay because he's really gay. But, no, the senator's a piece of shit. Like, Robert, I think his name's Robert, right? Robert Lipton or something. That guy's a piece of shit.
So who is Pam exactly to act so disgusted at the idea of Dwight and Angela being together? As if she's the picture of perfection itself.
Ew.
Pam has so many...
Like, again, I agree that like, with the point that he's making about, you know, who is she to, like, make that judgment like that, with just based on that, especially this early in the series. But also, like, I think he's kind of, like, reaching here to he's making a big deal out of this. Again, mountain out of a molehill here. Like, that's just one little, ew. She doesn't like the idea of picturing them together. That's an image in her head, right? And he's making a whole point out of this. But, yeah.
Many faults that it's just astounding to watch her cast aspersions at two other people's happiness. And it's very clear that she holds herself in much higher regard than both Angela and Dwight. She takes it one step further and actually goes as far as prying into their relationship, which they clearly wanted to keep secret, for the sole purpose of making fun of them.
It's like squishing a spider under a book. It's gonna be really gross, but I have to look and make sure that it's really dead.
See, this I agree. She is being fucking nosy as hell, and that's pretty fucked up. I understand it, though, because, you know, we can all be nosy sometimes, and we can all have those curiosities like that. But I do agree, it's fucked up. So, again, that's a point I agree with.
He attempts to dig up dirt by gossiping with Phyllis, but is absolutely mortified when Phyllis mistakes this conversation as being about her and Jim. Very hypocritical indeed. I will say that Pam...
Well, see, that's a point, though. She learned a lesson from that. Like, you're just kind of glossing over that. Like, she learned a lesson from Phyllis thinking it was her. So, I think that, he glosses over this a lot because he's very much trying to present the point, Pam is a bitch, full stop. Which, yeah, Pam is a bitch. But, again, it almost comes off as... there's a lot of comments calling... Well, there's a comment calling this bad faith. And, I think this is an example of that. I don't think it makes it a bad video. And, again, I still overall really like this video. And I agree with the general gist of it. But I do think cherry-picking Matt and leaving out the fact that, you know, hey, she learned a lesson from this is just one of those examples.
Pam seems to learn her lesson from this and leaves it alone.
Speaking of... me being a fucking pause idiot here, he literally just addressed that, so point retracted.
For several years, so I guess I'll give her a point for that.
Okay, yeah, I literally watched this earlier. I should have remembered that. My bad. Never mind.
This is indicative of some of the things that she'll do later on, and it's very clear that she holds herself in much higher regard than certain other people. And while I'm grilling Pam, can I also just say that was pretty crummy of Jim to invite everybody in the office to his house other than Michael. I mean, Michael Scott worships Jim and Pam. He kisses the ground that they walk on, and they both treat him like garbage.
I agree, but I can also see the reasoning. Like, you don't want to invite the boss to the party because people might be stressed. I would say that in a normal scenario, that would make sense, but then again, if your boss is Michael Scott, he'd probably be the life of the party.
At the Christmas party, Jim is totally stoked to finally get Pam as his Secret Santa. That is until Michael turns the party into a Yankee swap, and Pam turns down Jim's gift for an iPod. I guess it's kind of relatable because Jim's gift was a cheap little teapot, and this is back in 2005 when an iPod video was worth $400 and was the coolest thing ever. But Jim is clearly devastated by this, and Pam doesn't even so much as talk to him.
It's a little too much to handle.
And because she didn't even bother with his gift, she potentially missed out on all the little gifts hidden.
Yeah, no, it is fucked up because it was a very well thought out. To be fair, it was also fucked up that Michael made it Yankee Swap in the first place because he was upset with the gift that Phyllis gave him.
Inside, which were all incredibly heartfelt. I guess she's sort of redeemed by the end of this episode when she trades the iPod back for the teapot. But I'm taking that point away because she only did this after she found out that Roy was probably going to get her an iPod anyway.
I was going to get you one of these for Christmas. I don't have to. I'd save a ton of money.
I agree. I agree with this point. I will say it is a little bit more complex than that, because I think she does also see how it affected Jim. And again, I'm not trying to be like super like charitable to Pam. I'm just trying to be fair. I think his point is correct and spot on, that it wasn't until after Roy's like, yeah, I'm going to get you one. I was going to get you one. So, fair. I agree with this point. I'm just saying it's a little more nuanced, but I still agree with the point.
When Pam is convinced by Jan to pursue art school, she's immediately shot down by Roy, who tells her that it won't lead anywhere. Which, although at the time seemed harsh, actually turned out to be an incredibly astute observation.
Yeah, because Roy did literally nothing wrong.
Jim, on the other hand, is
other than trashing that bar, but in his relation, for the most part, Roy did nothing wrong.
really supportive of this decision and encourages her to do it, pointing out that she's in a dead-end job with no prospects, which was also a very astute observation. This leads to Pam becoming irate with both Roy and Jim. That's right, she got mad at Roy for telling her not to do it, and she got mad at Jim for telling her to do it. Pam becomes wrongfully infuriated with Angela when Michael reads an anonymous complaint about her to the entire office.
See, again, at this point, these points, I'm probably just going to be like, yep, I agree, and then not have much else to say, because these are all, like, that last point, absolutely. This next point, absolutely.
Automatically assumes that it was Angela with zero evidence. She even goes as far as to ban Angela from her wedding until Jim confesses to writing the note. Why was he complaining, you may ask? It's because Pam was using office hours to plan her wedding. Not only that, but she was doing it in front of Jim, who was obviously in love with her. By the way, I don't recall Pam ever apologizing to Angela for this.
Yeah, it's true. She's a bitch to Angela for no reason in this. She makes that assumption, which, to be fair, hey, we all make assumptions like that, but she should have at least fucking apologized. Like, come on, that's fucked.
And Jim is, of course...
And I also don't know why exactly she would have assumed it's her. I guess because, she views Angela as bitchy, which, Angela is bitchy. Although, I do like Angela more as a character than Pam, even though she's not a good person either.
Completely cool about it, and apologizes and actually helps her plan her wedding in the next episode. Simp. By the beginning of Season 3, Pam calls off her wedding with Roy, and Roy is clearly destroyed by this, and starts improving himself and doing anything he can to win Pam back. And Pam clearly doesn't give a crap about Roy at all.
It's true. Again, hashtag justice for Roy.
We still have to pay for all the food.
At the end of Season 2, Jim confesses his love for Pam, and they kiss, and then she rejects him, and he goes and takes a job at...
I actually think he's even unintentionally being kind of charitable here, because it's like they kiss. She I guess, let's just be clear in our framing. She kissed him back, and it went on for a minute, and he said, I've wanted to do that for so long, and she said, me too. So she didn't, immediately reject him. She rejected him after the fact. So, I don't think he's trying to be charitable to her, but let's just be clear. It's pretty fucked.
A different branch shoved underneath him. While working at the other branch, Jim meets Karen, and they sort of start dating. After that branch closes, Jim goes back to Scranton. When Jim returns to Scranton, he's surprised to find that Pam is single, and Pam is surprised to find that he's dating Karen, who, despite the name, is actually a very nice person and clearly a much better fit for Jim. She's stable, sweet, and quite frankly, just a much better person than Pam in every possible conceivable way. This causes Jim to treat Pam very differently. He's right. Karen is a lot better for Jim. She is kind of cunty when she reappears later, but I also get it because Jim and Pam fucked her over. But yeah. For her. And this throws Pam off because she's no longer able to use Jim to distract her from her boring job.
See, all of these points, he's spot on.
Suddenly becomes super friendly towards Karen and incredibly supportive. Where did this moment of self-realization and clarity come from? Could it be that Pam was being deceptive and acting friendly towards Karen to get closer to Jim? Kind of like how Jim acted friendly towards Roy to get close to Pam? Is Pam trying to play off of Jim's tactics? It certainly wouldn't be the first time that Pam mimics Jim.
Do you want to form an alliance?
I don't know if it's as deep as that. He is right. I don't know if she was super conscious of that or that she was actually going off Jim's playbook trademark. But that she absolutely did get close to Karen just to get closer to Jim. That is absolutely what she did.
With me. Absolutely, I do. Good. Good. Do you accept?
Absolutely, I do.
After Jim and Karen get in an argument about living together, Pam intervenes and helps Jim. This leads to Jim opening up to Pam and letting her slowly back into his life more and more. Keep in mind, Pam is an incredibly manipulative person, and everything she does has an angle to it. But when this backfires on Pam, Jim actually agrees to move in with Karen, which leads to her becoming heartbroken. Dwight shows his true colors and comforts Pam, further demonstrating that he's a truly good person. Unlike Pam, who would spend the next several seasons ridiculing him. The scene is pretty emotional to watch, but
I don't think that's entirely fair. Because I think that she does care about Dwight. She does have some sweet moments of her own with Dwight, like when he has the concussion. So I don't think that's entirely fair to, like, say that Dwight's nice to her and she doesn't care about him and, like, is bad to him. If anything, Jim is just kind of bad to Dwight. Pam helps Jim, and she is bad to Dwight in her own way. And she does, mock and ridicule him, sure. But their friendship is a little bit more complex than that, and I do think it isn't entirely fair. Now, I think Dwight is way better than her, and Dwight is a lot sweeter than her in their interactions. But to pretend that those other moments don't exist, I think, is not forthwith.
in my opinion, the emotion comes entirely from Dwight's incredible sympathy towards a person who would otherwise treat him like filth. And
again, I don't really think that that's fair. I'm not here to defend Pam, because again, I do agree with the points for a lot of this video, but I don't think that's entirely fair.
From Pam's self-destruction. Here we see that Dwight truly cares for Pam and considers her a member of his family and a very good friend, which only makes this next part even more infuriating. By this point, Pam knows full well that Dwight and Angela are...
Okay, yeah, so this next point's actually going to kind of piss me off, but we'll get there. But I think that she does view Dwight as family, too. Like, the whole office kind of feels like a family by the end of it. And each of the characters are flawed in their own ways, like real people, even though a lot of them are very caricature-y. Which also might be why Pam can be more frustrating, because she's less of a caricature than some of the others. And so you see that realness, whereas, like, you know, some of the other characters being kind of pieces of shit, it's more goofy. With her, it's much more subtle, right?
Dating. In fact, she's the only person that knows this. So I find it incredible that when she has the opportunity to literally save Dwight's career, she does absolutely nothing. Angela tells Pam that Dwight skipped work.
Again, I have thoughts on this, but I'll let him continue.
To drive to New York to file some papers that she forgot to file herself, thus risking his own job to save hers. Pam is the only person that knows about this. When Andy tricks Michael into firing Dwight over this, Pam literally just sits and watches Dwight get kicked out of the building.
Like, what the fuck did you expect her to do? Like, what the hell kind of point is this? Like, she was keeping that relationship a secret. You want her to out them? Because that would go against, like, she said she wasn't going to tell anyone. And it'd be kind of fucking mean if she did. So, like, why the hell would she do that? What the hell does he expect her to do here? Like, what the fuck is this point? Again, this is one of the points that I took major issue with, because what the hell was she to do here? Like, Angela didn't want people to know. Dwight didn't want people to know. And eventually Angela is the one who gets Dwight his job back by telling him, and then Michael, luckily, naively not picking up and putting two and two together and reading between the lines, and thinking Dwight was just loyal to the company, and that's why he did it. But, yeah, what the fuck was Pam supposed to do about this?
She makes zero attempt to intervene at all, and even after, she does nothing.
Look at that concern! She was upset! She genuinely was upset. So, like, what did you expect her to do? Like, this is a weird point.
To try to fix the situation. Pam, who is allegedly the master of manipulation.
By your definition, again, I don't think they were trying to write her that way. I think she is incredibly manipulative, and I agree with your premise. But that's not what it was intended when they wrote it, I don't think. So, what manipulative tactic would she have used here with Michael? Like, what the fuck? Why is that her responsibility? That's so weird to me.
Wasn't able to come up with the simplest lie to convince Michael to...
What lie was she to come up with? Why would Michael... Like, what... Like, you're a boss, right? You fired a guy because you thought he betrayed you. What lie would Pam tell? Like, let's say another employee, like, someone who's completely separated and unrelated to it comes and says that. Like, I'm confused as to the the focus put on this, because it just doesn't make any sense at all for Pam to get involved.
Not fired Dwight. She was the only person that could have done anything to prevent this.
No, she literally wasn't. What about Angela or Dwight? You know, the two who were actually involved.
That is until Angela comes forward and saves Dwight's job.
Right. Which is the way it should have gone. That makes way more sense than Pam saying anything about it. What the fuck?
So in the episode prior to this, Dwight goes out of his way to comfort Pam, but in Dwight's time of need, Pam does absolutely nothing.
Which again, what was she to do?
She just sits quietly by while he's wrongfully accused.
As opposed to what alternative?
And humiliated. For some insane reason, Jim dumps Karen to ask out Pam, which I cannot understand. Unbelievable.
And that was on Jim. That one you can't really blame on Pam. That was on Jim.
It seems like Pam's manipulation finally paid off, and she was able to...
Maybe she did subtly get her hooks in. I'll give you that. Because again, I do think she is a lot more manipulative than the show lets on, and I agree with your premise, like I said. So fair enough.
Mentally trick Jim into dumping his girlfriend to be with her instead.
Although it is a bit odd to say, you know, she encouraged him to let her move closer. Like, she encouraged him to take his relationship with her further, and that somehow would make him leave her? Like, I agree with you that there was probably some endgame to it, and it was probably some mental gymnastics and shit she was pulling. But, it's hard to make a case exactly on that. It's a weird tactic. Let's go with that. Let's say, if it is a manipulation tactic that paid off, it is a very unorthodox one.
I really hope you get the job.
Thanks.
Immediately after the office catches wind of their new relationship, Phyllis very rudely confronts Pam and Jim while they're eating lunch. She tells Pam that she has to give all the new leads to every salesman in the office, not just the ones that she's sleeping with. Wow, that's really rude of Phyllis to say, right? Wait a second. Do you mean to tell me that Pam was giving all the new leads to Jim?
No. Why would you think that? That was just Phyllis being a bitch. What evidence is there that she was actually doing that? That was just Phyllis being a bitch because Phyllis is a bitch. Phyllis is super cunty throughout the entire series. She's a fucking bully to everybody. So, what a weird thing to say. Wait, was she actually... No, that was Phyllis just being a bitch because she knew they were together and saying, you better not start giving him everything because you're fucking him. Like, what the hell? Like, obviously that wasn't happening.
It's like a massive ethical violation and a fireable offense.
Which we have no evidence happened.
In fact, how was she not fired for this?
Because she probably didn't do that.
That's a question I find myself asking over and over again.
Why? There was nothing to imply she actually did. It was just Phyllis being Phyllis.
Process of making this video. In fact, later on, you're going to find out that Pam's not just a liar, she's a con artist. When Michael...
That is true. That is true. With the fucking office administrator shit, which he'll get to later, that is true.
When Pam go to a job fair at her old high school to recruit new interns, Pam reminisces about how she used to lie to her PE teacher to get out of volleyball practice and gym class, proving that she's...
Oh, the horror! How could she ever want to get out of gym class? Oh my god, what a monster! I know the point he's making is that she lies a lot. I'm just saying it's funny to act so serious about that.
Pathological liar since high school. It's very disturbing to listen to Pam talk about lying with absolutely zero remorse or self-reflection. And before you go feeling bad for Pam saying, maybe she just really hated volleyball. No, she willfully signed up for volleyball practice. In fact, we learn later on that she attended volleyball camp every summer, and she played volleyball in college.
Yeah, but you could also argue that's a writing inconsistency, because it's often used as a point to show inconsistencies or retcons in the show.
So in other words, Pam...
Now, granted, if you want to try and rationalize it, yeah, she clearly did like volleyball, but I guess maybe she didn't like it at the time, or wasn't in the mood at the time, or maybe it was something that she grew to like. But at the end of the day, it's a writing inconsistency. Like, for instance, who started at Dunder Mifflin first, Pam or Jim? Depends on the season and the episode, because they say both all the time. It's super contradictory. It's a sitcom. What do you expect?
Really just lying to get out of practice whenever she just didn't feel like it. Somebody who lies chronically to get out of slightly inconvenient situations whenever it pleases them, that's a pathological liar.
Yes, she is a pathological liar. I agree.
So she lies whenever she doesn't feel like doing something, even if it's something that she committed to doing. At the end of the job fair, Pam runs into Nick, the IT guy, who gives her some information about an art program at Pratt. When Pam lets Jim know in the very next episode that she joins the program, Jim is incredibly supportive, even though that it means that in addition to not getting to see his girlfriend...
Him being the IT guy, people often use actually as an inconsistency, or like saying that it's the same actor playing two roles. I don't really have a strong opinion on that. I've always just thought could be the same guy, might be a different guy, because I don't think his name's ever said in the job fair. But yeah.
For several months, in the middle of attempting to pop the question, he also has to entirely financially support her as she runs out of money almost instantly. Jim has absolutely nothing to gain from this, but he doesn't care because he loves Pam too much. He just wants her to follow her dreams, even if it negatively affects his own life.
Yeah, because Jim is a simp. Absolutely. Jim is a massive simp for a fucking lying bitch. As I said, Pam is a lying bitch, which is why, again, I like this video, even if I have my gripes here and there with a few of the points.
Remember that. When Pam gets to art school, she's totally awkward, and she can't even figure out where her first class is. 3 months later, Pam fails one of her classes. No shock there. And she has to stay for several more
Yeah, Pam
months
fails at fucking everything she does.
to repeat the class. Jim is clearly upset about this, but supports her anyway. But because she's
Yeah, again, and the contrast between him supporting her dreams and her not supporting his is a point he'll bring up later, but yeah.
able to deal with her problems, she promptly returns back home to Scranton. She tries to use the excuse that she quit art school so she could be with Jim again, but I feel like it's pretty obvious that she quit because she just didn't feel like retaking the classes. And again, Jim is totally supportive of this the entire time.
Pam, you failed art school? Boom, roasted.
Pam throws a hissy fit when the kitchen microwave is messy, so instead of addressing the situation like an adult, she writes a scathing open letter to the entire office on yellow paper with big black and red font.
Yeah, no, this is really obnoxious. I've seen shit like this at my job when people leave like passive-aggressive notes like that. It is really fucking cringe.
Which, of course, irritates
Now, granted,
everybody.
making a mess in the microwave is also fucking cringe if you don't clean it up. Like, both sides in this conflict are fucking cringe.
in the office because it's incredibly smug and condescending. Pam expects everybody in the office to get on board with her obnoxious nagging, but she's shocked to find that everybody actually finds her more
Yeah, I agree. It's fucking stupid. Like I said, when I see notes like that at my job, it's fucking stupid.
smug and irritating than the mess itself. There were way better ways to handle this situation, but of course Pam opts for the option of acting like a 3-year-old. This behavior continues several episodes later when the office is faced with a decision on how best to spend the annual budget surplus. Most of the people in the office agree that the printer is a piece of garbage and the money should be spent on a new one. But Pam and a couple other people decide that it should actually be spent on new chairs. Jim and a few other employees...
Well, they actually do come to an agreement all as a group at the end because they're like, well, we'd rather have new chairs than nothing. Because Michael gives them an ultimatum that they have to come to an agreement. And they do come to an agreement at the end. So I don't think this point is necessarily entirely fair either.
Take Michael out to lunch in an attempt to try to coerce him towards buying the printer. Of course, Pam becomes infuriated with Jim for not siding with her on the issue. This is where we get a really good glimpse at Pam's manipulative nature and some of her more snake-like tactics. She dolls herself up
This I do agree with. Yeah, the way she's doing this is super manipulative.
Makeup.
But at the end of the day, the reason it gets picked is because they had to come to an agreement. But yes, her tactics in this are pretty fucking bad.
Essentially tries to seduce Michael into buying new chairs. I'd also like to point out that this is literally the nicest Pam has been or will ever be to Michael.
Well, she does have that really sweet moment with him in Goodbye, Michael, and a bunch of other sweet moments. But this is very flirtatious, and that's bad.
She's trying to get something from him. She's trying to trick him into giving her what she wants. By the end of the episode, Pam acts
Which, to be fair, they all were to a degree in that episode.
like a baby to finally get what she wants, and the entire office gives in and decides.
Well, again, they had to come to an agreement. That's what happens is Michael says, you guys have to come to an agreement, or else. And, like, Michael himself had actually already bought a fur coat with the money, and so then he had to get the chairs anyway.
To buy new chairs. If Pam had a brain and dropped the whole Holy War act for 5 seconds, she would have realized that she could have just gone and bought herself a chair for like $100 and then spent the surplus on a printer, and then she would have had both a new chair and a new printer.
Why should she have to buy a new office chair out of pocket? Like, I agree that that is a potential solution, but they came to an agreement in the end. So that's what happened, is they all did come to an agreement.
I keep saying printer, I mean copier. But instead, she throws a tantrum until the entire office agrees to give the baby her
No, because Michael told them all to come to an agreement.
bottle and sacrifice a vital piece of office equipment so that Pam can be comfortable doing her useless job.
It wasn't just her. It was also a bunch of other people wanted the chairs. It was pretty evenly split. Again, I think this is kind of cherry picking.
This, of course, all backfires in her face.
Anyway, I'm gonna need 3 copies of each of these, stapled and collated. I'm totally kidding. I'm gonna need 4.
See, that's funny.
Jim buys an entire house for Pam and even converts the garage into a dedicated art studio just for her. And later on, she actually admits to resenting Jim for this because he did it without telling her first.
Yeah, that's retarded. I agree with this point wholeheartedly.
He bought our house without telling me. At a certain
Yeah, fuck you, bitch. Be grateful.
point, he shouldn't be rewarded for that.
Yes, he should. Fuck you.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, buddy.
That is infuriating. When Pam's parents are having relationship issues, she asks Jim to speak to her father, and immediately after this, her parents split up. Pam automatically assumes that Jim must have said something horrible to her father about her mother, and then suggests that at some point he's going to say the same thing to her. She basically blames Jim for causing her parents' divorce. Does she really think this little of Jim? That he would intentionally say something that would cause her parents to get a divorce? This wouldn't be the first time that Pam makes a crazy assumption about someone and ends up being dead wrong. Here's the real reason why her parents split up.
He said that you told him how much you love me, and about how you've never done.
Yeah, it's fucking. It sucks that she would make that assumption immediately that he told her something horrible.
For a second.
Or told him something horrible, rather.
A woman you want to spend the rest of your life with. I guess he's never felt that with my mom, even at their best.
There's a moment where Pam talks about how much she hates the idea of someone in the world hating her. Ironic. She mentions that Karen hates her and acts like it's for no reason. Yeah, maybe it's because you sabotaged her relationship with Jim after treating her like garbage and then pretending to be her friend, you smug bitch! Gloves are coming off, Pam. Gloves are coming off! When a salesman shows up to sell the office a PA system for their This is because every time he shows up, Pam admits that the PA system would basically do 95% of her job. Seriously? That's pretty pathetic. She just admitted that her job is pointless. Of course, Jim assists her in this lie because he does everything for her, even when it's something terrible. Simp. No.
Yeah, Jim is a total simp.
Pam treats Jim very rudely when they're trying to give Kevin relationship advice. And this might not seem like a very big deal, but one of the things that I'm trying to demonstrate is that it's not always big things that make Pam so annoying to me.
Well, all I'm saying is it's a first date, so just keep a respectful distance.
Right.
I don't think Jim means to say that you shouldn't touch her.
No, that is what I mean.
Shush. Kevin, a playful touch on the arm or on the back.
Pam is at times death by 1,000 cuts, for lack of a better analogy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said before, she's much more subtle in the way that she's a bitch.
It's all the snarky little interactions that she has that wear on me as a viewer. All the rude little interactions that she has with her coworkers demonstrate how little she thinks of them, and by contrast, how highly she thinks of herself. Remember how because of Pam, the entire office wasn't able to get a new copier, something that they desperately needed?
Well, again, they came to that agreement as well, and they do eventually actually get a new copier.
Well, eventually they find the money or the necessity to just get one anyway. And guess who they put in charge of setting it up? She does a terrible job, and she treats everybody like garbage. There's a lot to unpack with the Michael Scott Paper Company, so let's just get started. Towards the end of season 5, Michael quits his job as acting manager at Dunder Mifflin Scranton to go start his own competing paper company. Initially, Pam is the only one that follows Michael to his new company. Now, this could be viewed in two ways. Initially, this seems very noble of Pam because it seems like she's the only person in the office that cared enough about Michael to actually go with him.
I don't think I ever had that implication. It was always she's impulsive, and she's doing this for her own self-interest. So if anything, you're being kind of charitable with that first option that you're given here.
Although I slightly agree with this, that's not to say that other people in the office didn't care about Michael. And I'll just say...
I think she was just impulsive and was bored of her job.
That this could also be seen as being incredibly impulsive on Pam's part.
Oh, there you go.
And irrational and kind of dangerous. It kind of seems like she lets her emotions dictate her decision-making.
That's just called being a woman.
Now, that might seem harsh, but it's what she does next that makes me feel justified in such a judgment. When Michael's company doesn't immediately go well, he falls apart and loses hope. Surprisingly, in this moment, Pam is very supportive and helpful and seems optimistic about the company. However, it doesn't take long for her steam to wear off, and she completely dissolves under the pressure of the new company and says some incredibly mean things to Michael.
Okay.
How come out of everyone in the office, I'm the only one who went with you? Is it because I'm that stupid? I mean, your own grandmother doesn't even believe in you.
So that actually, I think, is a good point for her to make. It's sort of a reality check or a tough love kind of thing. I wouldn't really use that as a point against her.
When Michael goes against...
And also, Michael thrives under that. Like, he thrives under the pressure. Like, Michael Scott Paper Company was a disaster, but it was a disaster that Michael handled impeccably, given how much of a disaster it was.
And hires Ryan, who I'm also not a huge fan of.
I love Ryan. Like, Ryan is a piece of shit, but that's why I love him. He's one of my favorite characters. I fucking love Ryan. Like, again, because he's such a piece of shit. He's an enjoyable character because of it.
He begins to act like a baby and causes a lot of negative and stressful moments within the company.
Seriously? Because it sounds like one of those is better than the other.
No, don't take that. Give that back. Go
Give
make
it
the
back for
copies.
what? What are you going to do with it?
I think, in fairness, having an objection to Ryan being brought in is totally fair. But also, I think that the back and forth they have is both funny and childish on both their parts.
You can make another spreadsheet. Yeah, exactly. It's my turn. Come on.
Go make the copies, secretary. I fucking love Ryan.
I don't know what to tell you. The job's been taken.
See, Charles Minor's an unlikable character. He's a prick. I mean, granted, he makes sense. Like, he's in the right with a lot of things, except he's a little bit too harsh on Jim, I think, in some regards. Like, granted, Jim also goofs off a lot, and Charles Minor, I think, is actually a good influence on getting him to try and take it more seriously while he's there. And again, Charles Minor is morally and ethically correct when it comes to business, but he's also a fucking stickler and a prick.
Sort of disappeared there.
A little bit of a tangent, but you know what I mean.
Wow, where you been?
Yeah, I need to take care of some stuff.
Yeah?
That's as specific as I'd like to be.
Well, at least you're still being honest with me.
Mom, I wanted to call you back. He's being a giant pig.
When Michael's company
Michael Scott Paper Company is one of my favorite little mini arcs of the show.
eventually steals enough clients from Dunder Mifflin, they're forced to buy Michael out. Michael makes a deal with Dunder Mifflin that instead of a cash payment, they rehire Michael as well as Pam and Ryan as salesmen. After much complaining from all the other salesmen, Michael's faced with the difficult decision of demoting either Pam or Ryan and keeping only one of them in sales. Initially, Michael immediately chooses Ryan, but of course Jim intervenes and sways Michael's decision in the other direction. What a surprise. Once again, Jim is there to pick up all of Pam's slack and save the day. Simp. Although I don't have much faith in Ryan, this ends up being a terrible decision, as Pam ends up being the worst salesperson in the office.
Yeah, I wonder if Ryan would have been a better salesman. Probably, but Ryan's also kind of unpredictable with how much of a fucking catastrophe he can be, too. So, it would have been interesting to see.
Never improves. This is also about the same time that she started wearing pantsuits, just further adding to her unlikability.
Pro for Ryan. He went to business school.
Based?
He's my #1 choice. Cons, she doesn't always follow through. New York and the whole art school thing. And Roy, I don't think you are being totally impartial, though, because you haven't said one bad thing about Pam, and I won't.
Not long after, it's revealed that Pam received the lowest number of sales in the quarter. I know it's her first try.
Like, Ryan probably would have done better. Although, then again, When Ryan was, like, going with Stanley on the sale, he was fucking stupid on that, too. So Ryan probably wouldn't have been much better now that I think about it. Ryan was not a great salesman either.
But this never improves. At one point, Pam begs everybody in the office for money. This is extremely pathetic behavior. I literally couldn't imagine doing this.
Hold on. That's totally unfair. Because they're asking her what she wants as a wedding gift. And she says, oh, just money. That's not really begging for money. I think that's kind of unfair here. The framing here, it's totally fine when people are asking what you want as a gift and you just say money. Like, there shouldn't be a taboo against that. Absolutely. Like, what the hell?
Was this supposed to be relatable? Because the show kind of presents it like it's supposed to.
It's as a wedding gift. They're asking what she wants, and she says, just money. Like, that's totally relatable. What the fuck are you talking about?
Be relatable. It's not.
Yes, it is.
It's just.
Again, you're framing it like she just randomly started begging for money, which is not at all what fucking happened.
Gross.
Is this what I've become? Materialistic? Shallow?
Yes. In Season 6, Episode 4, Pam goes way over the line and starts making demands of everybody in the office that they cater towards her pregnancy. This is just super obnoxious behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking, she's the one who got pregnant, not the rest of the office. So, yeah.
This is the same episode where her and Jim get married. I count at least one lie from Pam in this episode when she tells Kevin that her friend is dating somebody. I mean, I get her reasoning, but it's still a lie. Later in the episode, Angela makes...
Well, I think, yeah, she should have let her friend talk for herself. It's like that, that fucking meme, right, where she's not interested, you know the meme.
Makes a legitimate attempt at being friendly with Pam. And although I know Angela's very annoying, unbeknownst to Pam, I get the feeling that Angela considers her a very close friend. And the fact that she was going out of her way to be friendly with Pam shows a lot. And I really doubt Angela has hardly any friends at all.
I think Pam on some level views Angela as a friend too. Like the Nutcracker Christmas thing, where she sees Angela being sad because her Christmas party's getting ignored, so she decides to like merge the two parties as a sign of goodwill. Again, I think you are cherry picking just negatives and not looking at any of the positives, because there's a lot of positives too. Like, I think Pam is a cunt. But let's at least be fair.
Lee just shoots her down, and it's very cold. When she tears her wedding veil, she breaks down like a big baby until Jim...
Also, wait a minute. Hold on, was that the scene where Angela was just preventing Pam from going and sleeping with Jim before they're married? Because that was Angela being, like, nosy and pushing herself in to prevent them from having premarital sex, which they already did. So, if you're using that as an example of being friendly, what the hell are you on about? What the fuck? I didn't realize that the first time I watched this video, but I think that's what that scene was.
Up and makes her feel better. The contrast in both of their behavior is just stark. It's insane to me how much more mature Jim is almost all of the time. In the next episode, Michael begins dating Pam's mom, who he met at the wedding. When Pam finds out, she acts insane.
Oh yeah, she's a fucking mega cunt in that episode, absolutely.
Her behavior is so shameful and embarrassing, it's beyond belief.
I agree 100%.
My natural response is to be understanding towards Pam, because we know how Michael is. But just think about the fact that the entire reason for her behavior is just because of how she views Michael. Pam absolutely despises Michael, and it's very clear in this
Again, she definitely has like a complex with him, where she thinks of herself as better, or Michael as like lesser. But she does have some really sweet moments with him. Like I said, goodbye Michael at the airport. Or like plenty of other times where she makes him feel better and like supports him. Like, yeah, she's a bad friend to him, but again, you're completely ignoring any of the positives.
She acts like a lunatic, and she thinks less of Michael than an earthworm. I know that
in that episode especially, yeah.
There are times where it seems like she cares about
Okay, good. Now he's at least bringing it up.
him, and I think that deep down she probably does. But that is not very clear in this episode at all.
Yeah, in this episode I'd agree, yeah.
Let me make this very easy for you. I could give a about your happiness.
penis. Stop dating my mother!
I'm gonna start dating her even harder.
Pam, and he does everything for her, and she hates him.
Again, I don't think she hates him. She definitely is condescending to him in her own, like, you know, kind of uppity way, but I don't think she hates him.
Well, but think about the time when Michael was the only person that showed up to her crappy art gallery.
I'm really proud of you.
Pam treats everybody in the office like trash when they all point out how unreasonable she's being. Once again, everybody agrees that she's being crazy and she refuses to listen. This is just like the microwave situation again.
I was just wondering, how would you feel if Michael was sleeping with your mom?
My mother's in a wheelchair.
Well, he could still...
When Pam is...
Did he intentionally cut out her saying I'm sorry? Like, granted, that was a bitch thing to say. Like, that's a perfect example of her being a cunt. But I do think it's funny that he cut off the clip right before she says, I'm sorry. Like, granted, yeah, that's a bitch move right there.
Forced to go to lunch with Michael and her mother, she comes up with this elaborate lie to try to get out of it. Because that's what Pam does best. Anytime she's confronted with a difficult situation, she just lies her way out of it. Because she's a morally bankrupt sociopath and a pathological liar. I really honestly never noticed how much she lies until I made this video. And it's no contest when it comes to other characters. I mean, nobody...
That's not fair. There's a lot of lying in the show. I'd say Kelly is far, far worse. Fuck Kelly.
On the show lies like Pam. Now, I never claimed that no other character on the show does wrong, and I'll be the first to say that Michael Scott is no saint. He is a good man with a good heart, but he is a dunce.
Side note, Scott's Tots is a great episode. It's super funny. Like, I don't know why people dislike it. I love Scott's Tots. Like, it's a good kind of cringe.
And does terrible things over and over again. And breaking up with Pam's mom on her birthday at her birthday lunch that he threw himself, that was really terrible. But was it terrible enough to warrant Pam's response?
Holy crap.
I won't entirely disagree with you if you say yes, but in light of all of Pam's other behavior, it just makes...
So, I agree that her hitting him was, you know, crossing a line, but, there's one pretty important detail that you're just completely leaving out of this. It was his suggestion. He's like, what do you want? Do you want to hit me? Like, it's not like she hit him unprovoked. He literally did give her that option. So, pretty big point to gloss over.
Makes me dislike her even more. Frankly, I think she should have been fired for hitting Michael.
He literally suggested it. It was his idea. Like, he didn't think she'd go for it, but he literally put the idea in her head.
He assaulted her boss on company property.
With his blessing.
Yes, I'm counting the parking lot as being company property. This is completely inappropriate. But I can understand her anger towards Michael. But it just seems crazy to me.
He also literally put the idea in her head. Come on, man.
Either way, when I watch Pam's big, strong hand slap Michael, I can't help it.
Big, strong hand? Come on. She's not that strong. Come on, man. What the fuck? Like, yeah, it was a fucking... Like, it's a bitch thing to slap him. But again, his fucking suggestion.
Think back towards season 1, Pam. And just wonder how this cute, shy wallflower turned into this pantsuit wearing bitch. When Pam and Andy are forced to do cold calls together for being the two worst salespeople in the office. Pam acts mortified and repulsed when a client mistakes her and Andy as being in a relationship.
Yeah, and Andy gets really funny payback on that by being even more of a dick about it, which was really funny.
Yep. Once again demonstrating how low she thinks of her coworkers. When Andy rightfully retaliates, she calls him an idiot. Are you?
Andy does also make it really awkward in the other thing where he's like, when they actually start pretending that it's Andy's baby, which is a whole weird situation. But yeah, I agree. She was a bitch there. But Andy was even more, like, Andy was so petty. I loved it. Like, Andy was justified 100%. Let me be clear. But he was even more petty. It was really funny.
Are you kidding me? Later in this episode, Andy asks Pam for relationship advice for some reason. Pam is probably the worst person in the entire world to ask for life advice, let alone relationship advice. And yet, everybody...
True.
He still keeps doing it for some reason. Andy asks her what she thinks of Erin, the girl he likes, to which she responds with, And then when Andy asks her if he can do better, she responds with,
Are you kidding me?
What a sociopath.
No, I wouldn't say... I'd say that's more narcissism than sociopathy, but yeah.
Moment, she demonstrates how little she thinks of both Andy and Aaron. She holds herself in so much higher regard than both.
So again, that's more narcissism.
Why? Because she's a narcissist.
Well, yeah, there you
and
go.
A psycho. At the beginning of season 7, Pam screws up one of Jim's pranks towards Dwight, which really upsets Jim. So to make it up to him, she decides to play her own prank on Dwight by destroying company property and intentionally sabotaging the elevator. In addition to...
I'd say that, like, yeah, yes, that's pretty bad. But the part they think about, too, that's even, like, worse when you think about... Think of how unsafe that could have been if the elevator, like, crashed and, like, killed or wounded them.
Intentionally destroying company property and likely costing them thousands of dollars. She doesn't even...
So, yeah, there is that. But, again, there's also the safety issue. So there's layers. Like, if anything, he's underselling this point.
Pull off the prank correctly and creates a very dangerous situation for both Dwight and herself, trapping them in the elevator for several hours. Not only was this prank a total failure and completely insane, it was also incredibly dangerous.
Okay, so he does bring it up. Okay, fair enough.
Pam honestly could have injured or killed Dwight and other people, and she intentionally vandalized company property, something that she's done before. Oh, and by the way, zero remorse. She's proud of what she did, and Jim is completely supportive of her insane, unhinged behavior. Of course. You know, Pam made a really big deal about wanting to be a salesman, and she even took the position away from Ryan, and then she still sucked at it. So after a short stint at being a terrible salesman, Pam commits fraud against her company and fabricates a fake position.
Yeah, so this is what con artist shit right here. This is the con artist shit he was talking about. Yeah. Fucking Pam saying, yeah, I'm the office administrator. Mm-hmm.
Out of thin air.
I am. I'm the office administrator.
That's right. Pam was so bad at every job she did that she had to create a fake job for herself. Not only did she make up this fake position, but she specifically made one that would allow her to basically just exist in the company and leech off of them for countless years to come. When Gabe confronts her about this massive, enormous lie, she uses manipulation and intimidation tactics to scare him off.
It's not really intimidation. She's just calling his bluff, saying, I bet you won't do it. And she was right, because Gabe is a spineless little jellyfish.
She then manipulates everyone in the office into signing off on this fake position. She lies directly to Oscar's face when he asks her about it. She's a complete piece of crap, and I don't understand how anyone can deny it after this point.
I'm full-on corrupt.
After Dwight acquires the property lease for the Dunder Mifflin Scranton office building property, he begins implementing limitations on the office building that inconvenience and irritate everybody in the office, which leads to everybody in the office turning towards Pam, who's now the office administrator, and ask her to step in and solve the problem. I feel like she didn't anticipate this. She probably thought that she was just going to get to breeze by for the rest of
Well, I think she knew she'd have to do some administration in the office. I think she knew that, probably. Like, she probably didn't anticipate this, yeah, I'll grant you that, but she probably figured she'd have to do something to justify her position that she made up.
But she now has to deal with the issue of convincing Dwight to reduce some of the restrictions. Like every other problem that Pam has ever been faced with, she decides to solve this problem by lying. She lies to Dwight and the entire office that she found a new office building for them all to move into.
She was lying. Oh. Pam.
Yeah, this other Pam scene's really funny.
Pam.
Yeah?
Pam? What?
I'm Pam.
Love this scene.
Oh. No, you're not. We have a colleague with the same name. So.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay. You're not a liar too, are you?
Pam admits to Jim that
I've been known to stretch the truth. Damn it, Pam!
she lied. And she also admits that she thinks that she's a failure at everything she's ever tried, which is true. When Dwight hears this, he has pity on Pam, and he allows her to win by giving her evidence that he's breaking the law. So once again, Dwight is a good person, and Pam sucks. Pam makes a comic book for Jim for Christmas, and everybody hates it. Of course, Jim loves it. Pam makes a comic book for Jim for Christmas, and everybody hates it, except for Jim, of course, because he has to like it. It was pretty...
What was the point of leaving in that reading notes? Like, what? I'm not going to criticize it, but it didn't really add anything either.
Pretty good. It was good. I would have appreciated getting that for Christmas. She tries to make a New Year's resolution board for the entire office, but it fails miserably.
Wait, hold on. Why did why was that comic thing a point then? If you even admitted yourself you'd like getting that for Christmas. Huh? Like, I mean, yeah, when she's, like, looking for constructive feedback, yeah, sure, everyone's like, oh, yeah, it sucks. But, you know, like, whatever.
That's it.
When Daryl's grandmother dies, she gets everybody in the office to sign a card for him, which everybody mistakes as being a birthday card.
Which is really funny. Like, to be fair, you can't really necessarily blame that on her. It's a funny misunderstanding. Like, it's in real life, that'd be really morbid, but in the show, it's funny.
Come on. Like, she do anything right? Can she do anything right? At the beginning of season 8, the office gets a new boss, Robert California, and he's...
Underrated character, by the way. A lot of people hate Robert California. I actually like Robert California. I think he's... Ironically, I think he's the reason I prefer season 8 over season 9, because those are the two weakest seasons. I think Robert California does make season 8 better, though.
Literally a genius. And the first thing that he does is he makes a list of all of the winners and losers in the office, and he puts Pam in the loser column. Yeah.
I think that is astute. Good call.
At one point, Pam gets super insecure and assumes that Jim is attracted to the new girl, Kathy. So she recruits Dwight to spy on Jim.
You know, incidentally, the writers, and this is a trivia piece that I'm sure most people who've watched The Office know, but they wanted Jim to actually have an affair with Kathy, but John Krasinski refused to do it, which, to be fair, would have been really out of character for Jim.
This entire episode, Pam is incredibly immature and acts like a child.
Because, you know, Jim's a massive simp, and Pam is like his whole world, so obviously he wouldn't cheat on her. Yeah. So it would be really out of character. So it makes sense that he stood his ground and said, no, I'm not doing that.
And she even forces Jim to take a lie detector test to prove that he's...
And also him, like, avoiding, like, having any situations where he could cheat, like, with the bedbug thing with Dwight is also, like, really funny.
Attracted to this new girl. And the entire time that she's forcing him to do this, all that Jim cares about is his children. And it just really shows that Jim is the rock of this relationship. And
this is what we call a shit test right here that she's pulling on Jim. It's a thing women do. Super manipulative.
Pam is more like a feather. When Pam gets pregnant for the second time, she uses her pregnancy as a way of lying to the entire office over and over and over again to get out of situations that she doesn't like.
And again, it is funny because it is a sitcom. It's certainly not like a top tier joke, but you know, it's a sitcom. But yeah, it is a fucking stupid thing to do. It's a girl who cried wolf kind of thing.
Labor. I'm going into labor.
3 reasons you are wrong about True Blood. Number 1.
I'm going into labor.
Fucking Ryan.
Towards the beginning of season 9, Jim and Pam go to Roy's wedding. It turns out that his life just took off after him and Pam broke up.
Yeah.
And he's
Roy got his justice, boys!
With a beautiful
we got hashtag justice for Roy. Goal achieved.
A big house. Like, everything just, like, took off for Roy once he broke up with Pam, and I find that very funny.
Yeah.
Dodged the bullet on that one. Just kidding.
Welcome.
So we find out in season 9 that Jim had planned on starting a company with his best friend years and years before, and that company is now starting to actually become a real thing. So when his friend spearheads the company, he asked Jim to put in some stock.
See, and this is one of the biggest reasons that Pam sucks.
So that Jim can be a partial owner. So when it comes time for Jim to actually buy some stock in this new company, he feels the need to hide this from Pam for fear that she's going to get super angry at him for doing this, which I think...
Again, she should have supported him. He supported her with the stupid art school shit, and she didn't support him when he wanted to fucking do this. I agree.
A lot.
Like, this is one of the cuntiest things of her, when Jim is, like, fucking perfect to her.
Started a new business with my college friend, but Pam doesn't know. Actually, I did tell Pam, and we decided no. But then I decided yes anyway. So I'm thinking there's a conversation. It's hard to know what to do.
He literally has to keep this a secret from her because he's afraid that she's going to act like a psycho. So he starts having to make all of these little deals and phone calls behind her back, which obviously she notices. And her immediate assumption is that he's cheating on her. Because what else could it possibly be, Pam? That's her automatic go-to assumption, is that... So
I do feel like a lot of people would make that assumption if their spouse is hiding, like, texts and, like, taking secret phone calls and, like... So, I mean... I agree that it sucks that she jumped to that conclusion, but I think a lot of people probably would.
We're learning two things here. Jim has to keep his life decisions secret from Pam. The good decisions that would benefit him and his family, for fear that she's going to act crazy. And we find out that whenever Jim keeps a secret from Pam, her automatic response is to assume that he's cheating. We've seen a pattern with Pam of her making wild assumptions about people with no evidence.
Again, a lot of people would probably make that assumption with hiding phone calls and stuff, though. Let's be fair.
Her husband, and she always goes to the worst possible scenario.
I do agree with that. She does.
How little faith she has in Jim that she would automatically assume the worst possible thing about him. When Jim finally comes clean with Pam and tells her that he invested $10,000 in his new company, she acts like a complete psycho.
So interesting. See, this is after she knows about the company, and they agreed that they couldn't that he would invest, right? He's acting like the revelation happened, and then he, like, as he was revealing it, also revealed, yeah, I also gave him 10 grand. These are two separate revelations. They had agreed to go as high as 10. And I do think Jim actually made a mistake just jumping straight up to 10 with no pressure. But they did agree they could go as high as 10. I can see kind of both sides on this one, to be honest.
Oh, his fears were totally justified. Keeping it a secret from her was justified. And keep in mind that, first of all, $10,000 is not that much money to put into a brand new company.
Yeah, $10,000 isn't chump change, dude. $10,000 is a lot of money if you're just a regular office worker. So that's not something to, like, you know, hand wave away. Like, if you're talking in the grand scheme of things with businesses, sure, but, like, it's not like Jim was like a fucking, like, you know, business magnate, right? Like, he wasn't, like, super rich. 10 grand isn't nothing. It is a good amount of money. Especially because he's got 2 kids.
If you wanted to start a company, $10,000, that's...
Now, again, they did agree they could go as high as 10. So I think she does overreact. But I also do think that he was a bit hasty just jumping in with the 10 grand like that when there was no pressure given.
Okay. Also, it's probably mostly his money that he made himself.
That's true. That's a fair point.
You know, because he has been making more money than her for years. The whole situation with Jim's new company, it lasts throughout the entire final season. So I'm going to pause on that and we'll come right back to it. So there's this whole situation where Pam takes it upon herself to go down to the warehouse and she decides to paint a large mural.
That's not what happened at all. That is not what happened at all. So Nellie assigned Pam as the lead of special projects to paint it. She was given that task by Nellie. She didn't just decide randomly to go paint in the warehouse. That was a job she was given. That's a pretty important point that he just completely misses. And he acts like isn't the case. Like, he either willfully ignored that or, like, just skimmed it and forgot that that was the case.
On one of the warehouse walls. I find it really funny how people are constantly suggesting that Pam's a mediocre artist, because she is.
Pam failed art school.
Oh, wow. Doesn't surprise me.
Excuse me?
Have you seen her painting, Jim, the building? The shadows coming from 2 different directions. What? Are there 2 suns?
She's not...
That is funny.
Not terrible, but her art can be an eyesore. And the fact that she took it upon herself to go...
She didn't take it upon herself. It was given to her as a task.
A warehouse and paint all over a wall, you know, where these people have to work all day.
It was a job given to her. Come on, dude.
She came into their office space, basically, and starts just painting what this
Again, it wasn't just out of nowhere on a whim. It was a job that was given to her.
Really, like, mediocre mural. And there's a couple of moments during this that stood out to me. Okay, first of all, we've got the Japanese office worker Hide tells her, your art sucks. And she just straight up turns around and she just says,
Shut up, Hide!
Well, yeah, what do you expect? He's heckling her. She's supposed to just say, oh yeah, you know what, you're right, my art does suck. Like, he's just standing there heckling her when he should be working.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It's funny. I don't think Hide's doing anything wrong, but I think it's a perfectly natural response, too. Other than maybe he should be working, because, you know, he seems to have an issue with people slacking in work in this, but, you know, he glosses over that fact.
Like, she's so arrogant. She's so, like, high and mighty. It's unbelievable. It's crazy.
That's not really arrogance, though. She's being heckled and responding to it. And all she said is, shut up. It's not that big a deal, dude.
Crazy to me.
Like, telling him to shut up is not, like, the end of the world.
The way she talks to people. And this is supposed to be okay. Anyway, the whole situation gets completely out of hand. Eventually, one of the warehouse workers gets really fed up with Pam's crappy mural, so he vandalizes it.
So, again, he was so concerned that Pam vandalized a bathroom stall. She vandalized company property! She vandalized company property! But now he's just going to kind of gloss over the fact that this guy did.
Leading to Pam losing her mind, trying to get everyone else in the office to come together to get him fired. She lies to the entire...
I mean, he did vandalize company property.
office, saying that David Wallace asked them to hold a secret meeting. And then...
But yeah, she obviously lied about this because nobody actually really gave a shit. But yeah, at the end of the day...
Nobody wants to help Pam other than...
He did vandalize company property.
She goes and vandalizes the warehouse worker's truck.
Now, this was a retarded idea to do. And also, Dwight helped her with it. I'm going to gloss over that fact. Because obviously this guy was going to freak out at that. Because he has no way of knowing that this is washable paint.
So after Pam vandalizes Frank's truck...
With washable paint that washes off, let's be clear. Like, to be clear, he had no way of knowing that. So reacting the way he does makes sense. But he probably should have been fired when he vandalized the mural.
His name's Frank. He obviously becomes extremely mad, and he runs out and tries to attack Pam. I'm not siding with Frank. It was wrong of him to deface Pam's mural. It was wrong of him to try to attack Pam, obviously. But once again, Pam created this entire situation. She doesn't ever consider...
Well, you say she created it. What she did with vandalizing his truck, with, again, washable paint that'll come off. But also... She didn't create, like, she was doing the mural as a job. She didn't just take it upon herself to do it. So she didn't just create this entire scenario out of nowhere.
What other people want. She doesn't ever consider what other people think. It's just Pam's world. So when she makes this guy lose his mind...
But again, when this guy vandalizes company property, you're like, yeah, it was wrong. But then you also say she created the situation. Like you made such a stink about her vandalizing company property. But not when he did. It's a strange thing here.
To the point where he feels like he needs to come out and actually, like, harm her. The cameraman...
Yeah, again, this guy is fucking freaking out here. Which, again, to be fair, he doesn't know that it's washable paint. He's assuming she cost him hundreds of dollars in having to get it repainted. So this reaction, though not right, I get it.
That she's been flirting with for years, comes out of nowhere and defends her, which results in him getting fired. So basically, you follow the chain of events. Pam just got two people...
It is kind of weird that they kind of have this weird, like, chemistry with her and him that's like, him flirting with her, right? But, like, it doesn't go anywhere.
Fired for her actions. Because she is completely self-centered. She created another situation that harmed other people's lives. Does she care about...
Well, he shouldn't have gotten fired. That's really more on the producers there. Because that guy was gonna fucking fuck her up.
Any of this? No, she doesn't have any self-reflection or introspection. She doesn't look back and realize and reflect on herself. She actually just feels justified with everything. So the crew guy, Brian, who she has been flirting with, who gets fired, you know, all he cares about is Pam. And so when Pam shows up at his house, she treats him like garbage.
Okay, so that is a stupid point to make. You know why she fucking leaves the way she does there, right? Because she finds out they've been spying on them even in the moments that are supposed to be off air, where they're supposed to have privacy, and he's revealing, yeah, you had no privacy. That's why she's reacting that way. She's not treating him like garbage. She's like, oh, you guys were recording us even when you said you weren't? What the fuck? So yeah, no, this is not a point against her. This is creepy shit that the doc did in the show. Like, the documentary crew was filming them when they weren't supposed to be.
She doesn't care that she lost him his job at
No,
all.
again, this is a perfectly rational response to finding out that you've had no privacy for 10 fucking years.
She doesn't care. Because of Jim's new company, he's forced to work in Philadelphia. So he asks Pam to record their daughter's ballet recital. So Jim asks Pam very clearly if she's sure she knows how to record the video on her phone. This is clearly very important to Jim. He doesn't want to miss his daughter's ballet recital. So she has a huge attitude with him about this, and she swears she knows how to use the phone. But when it comes time to actually record the ballet recital, she screws it up, and she doesn't.
I completely agree with this point. Absolutely. She fucked up majorly here, and this is her fault. Yes.
How to record. This causes a huge argument between Pam and Jim, where she admits, basically, that she doesn't want him to go start this new company.
I don't know, Jim, maybe you should have been there.
Jim and Pam work at a failing paper company in a dying industry.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Trying to follow his dreams, and
Yeah,
he's trying to,
which again, he supported hers. She should absolutely support his.
start a new company that would benefit his entire family, that would allow Pam to probably not have to work anymore, that would allow them to be very fruitful and very wealthy, and also allow him to pursue his dreams. And if we just look back on any of the times where Pam wanted to do something, wanted to follow her dreams, it's nothing but support from Jim. It's nothing
100%. I agree wholeheartedly.
Positivity. Now that Jim wants to follow his dream of starting his sport company, Pam is she's completely selfish. She's completely self-centered, okay? Jim is trying to do something that would only benefit his family. He's trying to follow his dreams, and he's frankly just being a badass. He's making moves. You know, he's making something happen in his life. He doesn't want to be stuck in a dead-end job for the rest of his life. Pam, on the other hand, would rather keep herself and Jim at a dying company, in a dying paper industry, which would not help their family in any way and would ultimately result in catastrophe, frankly. In the midst of everything Jim's going through and trying to start this new company, he goes out of his way and actually finds a job for Pam in Philadelphia so that they can live in the same place. Pam immediately turns this job down. Like...
And I can't.
Later in that episode, at dinner, she admits to Jim that she doesn't want any of it. She doesn't want his new company. She doesn't want to move to Philadelphia. She's completely 100% thinking about what she wants and not anything.
I agree 100%. Again, this whole Pam-Jim marriage crisis arc is kind of cringe, but also, you know, is the kind of realistic thing that could happen, to be honest, though. Yeah, she does not think at all about the bigger picture and how great Jim was to her.
Else. She's not thinking about her children. She's not thinking about her family. She's not thinking about what's best. She's literally just doing what she wants because she's terrified of change. She's terrified of moving forward. Any kind of change, even if it's good. By the way, when she turns down the job that Jim probably worked really hard to find for her, she lies to him. She tells him that she didn't get the job.
Jim, I should have told you I didn't get the job.
Well, saying she didn't get the job is still accurate. It is maybe dishonest framing, but it's not an outright lie. And she does tell him pretty much immediately that she turned it down while they're having dinner. Like, it's, you know, later in the day when they go to have dinner, but she doesn't conceal that fact. Like, the framing she gives here is maybe a little dishonest in the framing, but she does tell him the next time she sees him when they go have dinner, so...
Oh, man. I'm so sorry. You all right?
And I get the feeling...
Actually, she might tell him in the same scene. I don't remember. Point is, she tells him not long after.
No matter what job Jim found for Pam, she would always turn it down. Because
she literally tells him that at dinner. She tells him that. It's not just a feeling. That's true. She literally tells him that. It's stupid, but she does tell him that.
Ultimately, she really just doesn't want to move to Philadelphia.
Which she says multiple times. To be like, she is clear about it. Like, I think it's retarded that she feels that way and isn't supportive and stuff like that. But it's not like she's not, you know, forthcoming with that.
Doesn't want Jim to follow his dreams. Towards the end of season 9, Jim and Pam start couples therapy, and I just want to reiterate that None of this would be happening if Pam wasn't such a psycho. She makes Jim's life so unnecessarily painful. It's just amazing to me that she would treat him this way after how good he treats her anytime she's ever...
Yeah, no, I agree. She's not supportive at all. I don't know if I'd use the word psycho. I think that's maybe a bit much, but I agree with the sentiment.
Pam confides in Nellie and starts complaining about Jim. She complains that Jim didn't tell her about his new company, but there's just one problem. He did tell her about the company.
And she told him no, to be fair, which again, I think was wrong of her to do. Yeah.
Just not at exactly the time she wanted, and for good reason. She acted exactly how Jim thought that she would.
It's not even real yet, and I'm not gonna tell her until it's real.
It's during this conversation that she literally admits that she doesn't want Jim to start the new company. She even admits that it would be good for their family, and she just doesn't want it.
I'm sure Athlete will be a huge success. But I don't want him to do it anymore, and I don't want to give him an ultimatum, but I am not moving our family to Philly.
All of this leads to Jim literally quitting his company, going back to Scranton, to his
again, because he's a fucking simp.
Failing job at a failing paper company, just to make Pam happy.
And I think we'd all love to know, Pam, what romantic thing did you do to pay Jim back for leaving Athlete?
Well, I mean, how do you pay back someone for something like that?
Like, at least she does make the right choice in the end.
But I don't know, I'm working on something.
She pays me back every day just by being my wife, so that's fine.
Eventually, finally, Pam comes to her senses and I guess feels guilty enough about destroying her husband's dreams that she sells their house and helps Jim get back.
No, she does come around. I'll give her that.
With his new company. All right, well, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that was enough to convince you. Frankly, this is just how I feel. I think that Pam is an insufferable liar and sociopath, and I think I made that pretty clear.
I don't know that I'd call her a sociopath. I'd just call her a woman, because that's how women are.
You disagree, that's fine. After so many times watching the show, these things just wear on me as a viewer. I just notice these things more and more and more, and every time I see one of these moments from Pam, it just becomes more frustrating and annoying. And I think the most annoying thing about it is it's the complete lack of self-reflection. It's the complete lack of...
That's just called being a woman.
Of responsibility, of the way that she's never able to admit that she was wrong, even when...
That's just called being a woman. Hold on, let me pull that clip. Hang on, let me pull that clip. Hold on. Like I said, I'm not editing this, so... Here we go. Love this clip.
Talk about your options.
Okay.
Kel.
Yes.
Focus.
I am. Like, I'm listening to what you're saying, but I only hear what I want to.
That's just called being a woman.
I fucking love that clip. Where the fuck? There we go. Hang on. Alright, let's get back to this and we'll finish it off. We're almost done here.
Everybody is telling her that she is, and she's completely unapologetic, even when she knows that she was wrong. It's crazy that she just gets away with all of these things. She got away with lying to her company over and over again, lying to everybody, defacing the company, vandalizing things, committing fraud over and over again. It's just amazing. The thing is, even a supervillain is supposed to be bad. Think about the fact that...
What does he mean by that?
On Michael Scott's last...
Even a supervillain is supposed to be bad. I'm not quite sure I get the point there.
In the office, Pam left to skip work to go see a play.
She didn't know. She did not know it was his last day because Michael lied about that. Michael said he was leaving the next day. So she didn't know it was his last day. And that's a point that you're going to gloss over. That's a pretty big point for what you're trying to say here. She didn't fucking know it was his last day.
She lied to Michael's face and told him that she had some business meeting to go to on his last day.
Which she didn't know was his last day, in fairness.
Michael, I'm just gonna go to Cardi.
Because Michael lied.
To price some shredders. I'll see you later.
She lied to Michael to skip work. I mean, that is fireable.
And Michael lied to her about about that being, like, he said, my last day's tomorrow, but it was actually that day.
And intolerable behavior. And she just gets away with it over and over and over again. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me in the comments. Tell me if you hate me. Tell me if I'm right. I'd love to hear. Either way, I would love to hear what you think. That took a pretty good amount of work. I had to watch pretty much every episode to collect all that information. So
yeah, it's interesting you missed some things with that being the case. But, whatever.
All right. See you guys.
All right, so, in fairness, I agreed with the general sentiment of this video. I think this is overall a pretty good video. I think he takes some things a little too seriously. He makes some mountains out of some molehills, and he leaves out some pretty important details. So it's a flawed but overall good video with a few little things that kind of bug me about it. Again, Pam is a character that I think is deserving of the hate she's getting as of late, but I think that we got to at least be fair about it. Anyway, that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. Toodles.